Hey everybody, I'm ZeldaMaster, and in this video I want to discuss the new Link's Awakening remake for the Nintendo Switch, because I have a lot of things I want to say about it, and I noticed the community also has a lot of things they want to say about it. So in this video I want to take a closer look at this game, because this remake is kind of random, something we didn't really expect, and it's a direction Nintendo really hasn't taken before with The Legend of Zelda, but it's something I'm personally excited nonetheless. So what I mean by that is, one, it's a remake of a really old Zelda game, and Nintendo doesn't normally do remakes of older Zelda titles. Like, we got Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask 3D, which were really well done by Grezzo. I thought those were really good remakes for what they were, but this remake is a bit different, because instead of going from polygon looking N64 graphics to a bit more polished look that fit on the 3DS, we're going from sprite work to these marshmallow looking Animal Crossing graphics, and I feel like a lot of people aren't too happy about that. Personally, I like it, because it was the same thing for the Wind Waker. When the Wind Waker first came out, a lot of people were hating on its art style, including myself. Like, I'm guilty of that. But as time went on, I realized I could appreciate the game for what it is, and overall the art style grows on you. It's a cute art style that, fit for a serious game. Same goes for Link's Awakening. I don't believe the graphics will change anything. I noticed a lot of people mention how Link's Awakening is a darker tone Zelda game, and it really isn't. It just has a lot of bizarre scenarios that might seem a bit weird on an older game, but I feel like the way Nintendo will translate it into this cutesy looking graphics will fit. Now, there are some random things that might not fit, like in Link's Awakening, in one of the 2D sections where you fight a boss, you can see like skulls hanging from the ceiling, and it looks kind of bizarre in pixel art. So I wonder if they're gonna give a cutesy remake to that or what. Like, are they gonna remove all of the really dark tones from the game, or are they gonna keep it and just remake it or kind of substitute it with something else? I'm excited to see where Nintendo goes with that. But yeah, I feel like the main reason why a lot of people were kind of thrown off was because when Nintendo first announced this during the Nintendo Direct not too long ago, just a few days ago, they revealed it with an animated trailer, and boy was I excited. But I knew what it was gonna be. The second I saw the ship and I can see that was Link's foot, I knew immediately that this was Link's Awakening. The reason why is because, well, I'll be sure to throw a little comparison of both the original intro for Link's Awakening and then the remade animated version for Link's Awakening on the Switch. And I have a feeling this animated version will be the actual intro for the game itself, because yes, Nintendo made a little pixel animation style version of it for the GBA, or rather the GB, the Game Boy, not the Game Boy Advance, but you could play on the Game Boy Advance if you have one. But it was originally made for the Game Boy, for those wondering, over 20 some years ago, but eventually remade for the Game Boy Color, called Link's Awakening DX, and I feel like I need to mention that as well, but let me just kind of complete what I was trying to say, and that is, yes, the animated intro is probably going to be the main intro within the game. I feel like that wasn't just a promotional piece, because yeah, Nintendo tried to add some pretty interesting cutscenes within Link's Awakening for the time. They had a lot of sprite work, and it looked really good. Like, I love the sprite art within the game, so now they translated it to actual animation, which looks so good, and it makes me wonder, are we going to be getting all the cutscenes in a animated style? Like, imagine if every single cutscene within Link's Awakening, which there aren't too many, but there are a good amount that go from, the top-down look the game originally has to a different look with pixel art, and there's a lot of cool scenes with Link and Marin. I would love to see Link and Marin together in a scene like that. That'd be pretty interesting if you ask me, especially in an animated style like that, because it looked so good. So hopefully we get more cutscenes like that. If not, it will probably be the new marshmallow style artwork, which I feel like a lot of people, just seem to not like too much. But personally, I feel like it will grow on me. It was the same thing with Wind Waker. A lot of people disliked it for what it was, but as time went on, people realized, oh, well, you might as well, appreciate it for what it is. And I feel like, I'm already past that. I had that phase with the Wind Waker. I didn't like it at first, and I realized it was a really good game, and the graphics grew on me. I feel like with this game, immediately the graphics will grow on me, because it's going to be a Zelda game at the end of the day, and I don't think the graphics have to look, super serious or anything. Like, you gotta remember, Nintendo is taking pixel art and translating it into something new, and I think it was a cool idea doing this, 80s looking Link. Like, the reason why I think he looks really old school is because those eyes eyes remind me of just like the old school animation, and you know, specific art styles that just kind of stand out to me, and I really like it. Like, you know how we have Toon Link? It'd be cool to have Cartoon Link. It's still Toon, but you know, this is a cartoonier Link, or as some people I've noticed pointed out, kind of like Toy Link, because in the graphics he does look like a toy, somewhat, sorta. So I can kind of see that as well. But the question is, what happens if every single Zelda game remade from here on out, at least the old ones like Zelda 1, Zelda 2, and the Oracle games, take inspiration from this new graphic style and they do the same thing? Like, imagine if Nintendo not only remade Link's Awakening, but remake Zelda 1 in that same art style. It would fit so well, and it'd be so amazing to replay through Zelda 1 remastered in this beautiful looking style of graphics, because I believe this old school look will kind of fit all the old school Zelda titles. They don't have to make them look hyper realistic or super detailed or anything like that. They could just have this old school look because it's an old school game. So this could be like old school Link, and all the remade versions of the old school games feature this Link and feature this art style and everything. I think that would be amazing, and I don't think anyone would complain maybe if we had more Zelda games similar to this and it wasn't just exclusive to Link's Awakening's remake, because I do know a lot of people wanted a more serious Link's Awakening remake, because it is a very mysterious game and it has a lot of interesting things to it. Like, overall, I don't want to spoil the game for you. I highly suggest watching my Let's Play of it if you haven't. I've Let's Played the original DX version way back about like 2 or 3 years ago, so I would suggest checking that out if you're interested in what the game is about before it comes out. Don't worry, I will be Let's Playing the newer version of the game when it comes out on release, 100%, getting everything, all the shells, all the pictures if they still exist. And speaking of pictures, and speaking of Link's Awakening DX in particular, the DX was kind of like the definitive edition of Link's Awakening. It was made for the GBC, which is the Game Boy Color. The original was just made for the Game Boy, and this version held, I believe, some colors to it. I don't believe it was too detailed, because some Game Boy Color games weren't that good looking regardless, even if it had color. But what made it really stand out was the new features they added, from like certain pictures that were within the game and other small things like that, and I really hope they keep the same thing going on. But what makes me wonder, you know, if they would change it or whatever, are like the snapshots, like, are we gonna get an animation, you know, snapshot of every single picture that was taken of Link, similar to the cutscenes? Or are we going to be getting something else? I'm really excited to see where Nintendo goes with this, because it was a very interesting feature within Link's Awakening, and seeing that pixel art. And something I feel like I need to point out is when you look at Link in the pixel art, when he's like a photo's taken of him, he looks very cartoony and childish in game. Even though the scene in the beginning of the game, the intro where it shows Link getting shipwrecked, he doesn't look like that. The whole point is when you enter the game, Link is all of a sudden like a marshmallow, similar to Pokemon. Like in Pokemon, when you are like speaking to the professor in the beginning of the game, and then you shrink into a little marshmallow like most of the Pokemon RPGs, you know that the art style changed because that's how the game play is meant to be. But when you switch into like a battle, you can see the full detailed version. I feel like that's literally what Nintendo is trying to do with this Zelda game. It's like cutscenes and major things where Link is supposed to be detailed, you'll see him detailed, but the gameplay itself will make him really cartoony and just, you know, look a lot different than he's supposed to actually look. And it makes sense, you know, gameplay looking a bit different, looking a bit more simplistic, and I feel like it will work all together. But yeah, overall, I'm just really excited to see how everything within Link's Awakening and its pixel art will translate into this new 3D cartoony looking style of graphics Nintendo is going for, because there is a lot of things worth mentioning within the game that when you really look at the two, it's gonna be so much different. Already the comparisons from within like the village with the chain chomp and the small rupee farming grass area that you can easily chop down the rupees, or even a castle entrance, I believe, with helping Richard, which I don't really want to spoil anything of the game, but I noticed that the game is so detailed. Like Link's Awakening, I forgot how detailed the game truly was, so I'm so happy that Nintendo is reimagining such a detailed and nice game. So I think that alone is just super exciting, seeing all of the areas reimagined. There was so many interesting things within the game. Like, for those who enjoyed Link Between Worlds or Link's Awakening or all of those games, this game plays a lot like it, and I think the most exciting part about it is the fact that the limitations will be removed. One thing that makes Link's Awakening feel really old, and you may notice by the gameplay I show on screen, is the fact that the screen has to scroll every, 10 pixels. Okay, not 10 pixels, but every little bit Link walks, the screen has to scroll. You're gonna notice when comparing the two same areas, the game looks so much wider and bigger and open because there is none of that anymore. I'm sure there are loading areas for like the forest and certain areas like that, but in general, the map is a lot more connected. You're playing in a wider screen. You don't have to constantly have the screen scroll with you, and that's been a thing since Zelda 1 and kind of stopped since Ocarina of Time. So overall, I'm just happy to see that that is not going to be an issue, because I feel like those limitations do make the game feel a lot smaller and a lot more condensed. Another thing I'm really excited to see is how they're going to remake certain items. Like, one thing that I feel like I should definitely point out is the fact that Link has a Highland shield. He did not have a Highland shield within the original Link's Awakening, so clearly they either redesigned the normal shield or they're actually going to give Link a Highland shield and maybe explain upon that. And since they are willing to do a change like that, it's not going to be completely true to the original. I wonder what else they plan on changing. Will they add maybe the Master Sword? I doubt it, but maybe the Highland shield is just a unique design they felt like they would have wanted to put in the original but couldn't, so they're putting it in this one. I don't know. Overall, this is their reimagined version of the game, so this is probably how Nintendo envisioned it back then, this time with this sort of art style. So I think overall we're going to get everything we want to see. Like, you could see one of the mini bosses within the trailer, and if you kind of, compare the two, they do look very identical, and overall Nintendo is staying true to everything from the chain chomps to the Goombas. Like, they literally just remade Goombas. They're not kidding around with that. I thought that design choice within the original Link's Awakening was because Nintendo didn't have a lot to work with to begin with. And what I mean by that is maybe, as they were making the game, they wanted to add unique enemies, and like, oh, well, let's just put a Goomba because it's, it's a Game Boy game and it doesn't really need much more. But no, that isn't the case. I believe maybe in this bizarre dream that Link has, and I'm not going to get any more into that so I don't spoil the game. This is for people who know what I'm talking about, know exactly what I'm saying. Maybe this bizarre dream is, it makes sense to have Goombas and chain chops and all of this Nintendo, content from Mario instead of just Zelda. So overall, with that, I'm excited to see how, like, the piranha plant will look, because there's even a piranha plant in Link's Awakening. Like, they literally just threw Mario things within the game for no reason. There's even, like, certain photos that reference other Mario characters, like, of Peach. I wonder if that card that has Peach on it will show Peach in a updated style. I would love to see that. Like, I would love to see Peach in this game, updated, not just pixel art. Even though her name was, Christina or whatever that was on the photo, but, they reused Peach for that photo. So yeah, it makes me wonder, will they do the exact same thing? Are they going to stay true to everything, not just the enemies and allies that you can use within the game that they reference Mario, but are they also going to reference Mario down to something like that? That would be super interesting to see, because it would kind of mash up, Zelda with Mario, but in an actual Zelda game. It's not like that hasn't happened, because Link's Awakening does have that, but it'd be cool to see it in a remade HD version that many people can play, because I know a lot of people know nothing about Link's Awakening and have no clue about the game as a whole, but this will be a great chance for them to play it, especially since it's going to be on the Switch, and the fact that it's going to be overall updated. Now, I do wonder, since it is, a remake, will they dumb it down? I would hate for Nintendo to do that. That would kind of ruin the game for me. Like, I'm not gonna lie, the older Zelda games are the only Zelda games I don't feel bad getting a game over on, because, you know, if you play reckless and you try to rush things and you don't really think about your position, sometimes the enemy will keep hitting you until you kind of just die on the spot. And I thought it was cool. It's very punishing, and it's just like a lot of older games. Now I feel like games, if you die in a game, it's like, oh, the game is bad. That's bad game mechanics. The player should not die. A game should not be difficult enough for a player to die. Like, I hate how that's a thing within games. Luckily, Breath of the Wild stayed true to old school games, so I don't think Nintendo is gonna really dumb down this actual old school game, but who knows? I can't assure you anything, because they did dumb down the original Zelda 1 for the Nintendo Switch online program. Like, you can play Zelda 1 but easier if you want to, because they feel like the game is so hard. But Zelda 1 is on another level and compared to Link's Awakening. Link's Awakening, like I said, it's a lot similar to you know, like A Link to the Past. It has more to it, the story structure, dialogue, all of that. Zelda 1 could barely handle anything, so it made sense in why it was super confusing. Like, all I remember was, like, you know, go to the eastmost peninsula, and that's it. And everything was so vague. I just remember like certain dialogue phrases that could only fit like 5 words on the screen, and it was just extremely vague and made no sense. Like, the game needed a guide back then, really. But I don't believe Link's Awakening does. I think Link's Awakening was a really good game on its own. I think the remake, if it stays true to the original, without them doing anything to it, it would be a perfect remake. And yeah, I just wonder what the future of Zelda has now. Like, are we going to be getting more remakes like this or not? Please let me know in the comments. Like, one thing that I feel like I also need to point out that kind of made me, you know, raise my eyebrow was the logo. Now, you may notice, and this is really nitpicking, but the logo, for some reason, the Zelda part of the logo is the same exact Zelda that's in Breath of the Wild's logo. And I know that sounds like, who cares? Like, it's the same series, right? But the reason why the Zelda and Zelda Breath of the Wild's logo was crumbled and looking a bit aged was because Breath of the Wild's history, the Master Sword, everything made sense for it to look like that. I find it odd that in Link's Awakening, the logo looks exactly like the Zelda from Zelda Breath of the Wild, and they didn't do the old school shield and sword with like the red logo that they originally had for Link's Awakening. So I don't know, it makes me wonder, like, is this going to be like the new Zelda logo from here on out? Every Zelda game they remake will kind of be inspired after Breath of the Wild, or was this like promotional art that took them 2 seconds to make and they just reused the Breath of the Wild one and didn't notice? Because yeah, when you look at it, like, overall, the Link's Awakening logo looks a bit simplified. It looks like anyone could have really made this, especially since it does reuse Breath of the Wild Zelda. But we'll see. Maybe in the actual game, maybe on the actual box art of the game, it will be a bit different. I don't know. I just felt like pointing that out. Maybe because there is a similarity. Maybe it's trying to say because Breath of the Wild is truly in the Fallen timeline, that the Zelda games within the Fallen timeline are crumbled because Zelda is no longer Zelda. No, I doubt it. That's a conspiracy theory that I'm just making up. I believe Zelda Breath of the Wild, as Nintendo mentioned, even in Hyrule, not Hyrule Historia, because that wasn't updated by then, but they're you know, making a champion book, or creating a champion. Then yeah, Breath of the Wild is kind of like at the end of all the timelines. But if they were to pick one to be exact, you know, maybe it could be the Fallen timeline, because this game is technically in the Fallen timeline, Link's Awakening, even though technically it doesn't really exist in a sense. See, I don't want to get too into it. Like I said, I suggest those who have played the game, let me know your thoughts. If you haven't played the game, let me know your thoughts overall about all of this in the comments. That's why I made this discussion video. It's not me just discussing with myself, it's discussing with you guys. I want to know what you guys think about the game, because like I said, I'm excited for it. I'm excited for what the future holds for Zelda as a whole with this. I can't wait to see where Nintendo goes with it. I can't wait to see how this art style looks throughout the entire game. Like, it will fit with all the animals and you know, all the cute stuff. I'm just excited to see how the serious stuff will fit within the game in this art style. So hopefully Nintendo doesn't, you know, stray away too much from the original game and they give us the exact game. This time Link looking like a, you know, old school cartoon character, and hopefully this is a future for more old school cartoon Links. Maybe one day this Link will be in a Smash game, right? That'd be insane. I don't think they would do that, but I wouldn't mind, you know, I don't mind having Link in many different art styles, but I don't believe they would do that just because it's not like they ever did that with the other old school looking Links. Like, it's mainly been like the more recent titles. But my point is, overall, there's just a lot of new things that Nintendo has kind of implied with this title, and it makes me just want to speculate the future of Zelda. I guess we're just gonna have to wait as they reveal more information regarding Link's Awakening for the Switch. So please, yes, let me know what you guys think, what you're excited for. Altogether, I am generally, like I said, super hyped. I'll be real, like I mentioned before, Zelda, anything Zelda related will get me excited. I am a biased fanboy. I'm saying that now, and I'm completely honest when I say I don't think that is, you know, saying too much, because I've loved Zelda growing up, and I do believe that I am blinded a little bit by nostalgia. Like, I can't necessarily see how a normal, you know, fan, or just a, you know, normal viewer, normal, you know, player of, you know, tons of different games would look at it. I definitely look at Zelda with rose-tinted glasses, so every single Zelda game is super exciting. But it's not like I'm not going to hold Nintendo to it. If Nintendo messes up, if the game really does suck, I am going to say it. I'm not afraid. I've said I had issues with Skyward Sword. I say Zelda 2 sucks. There's a lot of... I'm not afraid to say something I love sucks. I'm just saying I get excited for anything Zelda related, so the more Zelda the better. Kind of like how they treat Mario. They give us games like Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker, or you know, just a bunch of spin-off, like the tennis games and all the sports games. Like, Mario has so many spin-off titles that don't really affect, like Mario Odyssey or Super Mario Sunshine or Mario Galaxy. Those are the main Mario games. So just like Nintendo did with Triforce Heroes, why not make more like that? From remakes to just overall smaller things. I don't believe every Zelda game has to be the next Breath of the Wild. If Nintendo wants to release smaller titles, you know, kind of giving us something until that next big Zelda game, I'm all for it. Please, Nintendo, do more of that, because I feel like it will just give us something to hold on to until that next big Zelda title. So yeah, anything Zelda related, I'm excited for, as long as they don't completely ruin the next big Zelda game, which I highly doubt they'll do. They haven't really done that with any Zelda game. Skyward Sword was their biggest flop, but I feel like that was motion controls, and with how technology is now, I don't believe Nintendo would make that mistake again. So overall, I have a lot of confidence in Nintendo and Zelda as a whole, but like I said, I have a pretty biased view, so please enlighten me. Let me know what you think. Let me know if I'm looking at it, you know, in a certain light. Maybe I should look at it differently. Just, you know, overall, let me know in the comments, because that's what this discussion video is for. But anyways, I'm gonna wrap it up here. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to leave a like if you're excited for Link's Awakening, or if you enjoyed the video. But anyways, as always, I've been ZeldaMaster, and I'll see you all in another one. Bye!